So on today's video, I'm finally gonna go ahead and install the AC, and I've got everything I need ready to go back inside. Now, I've had to do some prep work before I could install all of this into the Civic, and it started with the hoses here. When I pulled these from the junkyard, I cleaned them up and they looked pretty decent. I couldn't find anything wrong with them anywhere, any like broken lines or any of the fittings damaged or anything. So I cleaned them up and I brought them here, and I went ahead and I replaced all of the O-rings with the AC Murray Climate Control Service Kit that I bought from O'Reilly's. And unfortunately, it did not have all of the fittings for the high pressure side, which is this tiny little circumference pipe here. And I had to go back to the store and buy another set of O-rings to make up for the fact that I didn't have them all. I had plenty of the O-rings from the kit to do the low pressure side, but not enough to do the high pressure side. So I had to buy some extra ones at O'Reilly's. Now I also replaced the service port valves here on the high and low pressure side, and it's called a Schrader valve, and it's really not that hard to get to. It requires a special tool, and it's like $4 or $5. I bought it on Amazon and it came pretty quickly. So just in case there's any leaks on that side, we're gonna go ahead and replace it. As some of you guys may know, I've already replaced my evaporator in a previous video using a 2000 Honda Civic one, which adds a cabin air filter into the little hatchback here. And I won't actually be replacing that one in this part of the video, but I will show you guys exactly how I did it, and in a really quick and brief recap. So to recap, everything bolts right in. I just removed the old evaporator and housing unit and replaced it with a whole new evaporator and housing unit from a 2000 Honda Civic EX. The Honda CR-V would have also fit, although the sensors would have been different. I mean, even this one had a different sensor. I didn't use the stock one, so it doesn't really matter. It'll definitely still fit. I recommend you take the housing and the evaporator from the same unit and don't do what I did, because I bought a new one that didn't fit. So when I picked up the condenser, I went ahead and found the best one I could find from the options that they had at the junkyard, and these little Civics are getting a little bit more rare, so very slim pickings. Ultimately, this is the best one I could find, but as you can see here, some of the fins are still damaged. This is the front. Yeah, I think it sits like this. So this is the front. And you can see the rear looks a lot cleaner than the front. Hopefully this works though. And I also painted the fan shroud, and I went ahead and left it aside to dry. After the paint dried, I was able to put it back together with the fan. They're in the right direction. I noticed that the harness here was spliced. Somebody cut into it. I don't know. Doesn't give me a lot of hope for this motor then. Great, so I just finished, spraying the fan belt, and I realized I got more problems. What the? Why would they splice the wire? Hopefully it works. I fixed it and put it back together, and hopefully it works. Now, the other issue with this Civic is I have some frame damage, and it turns out this part is a little higher. I had to find a way to basically like push the bottom side down, and I found a way by just bending those clips. I don't recommend you doing it too hard, because I pushed that one way too hard and it's kind of loose, so be careful. And this is the frame damage I was talking about. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. That's not exactly a small gap. Look how crooked they are. They're supposed to be, it's way too high up. Oh man, maybe it's because I crashed it actually. Oh well, looks like it's hammer time. I finally managed to beat the crap out of the bottom part and make it fit, and it should sit in there properly now. And that's basically all I had to do. I just had to make sure the condenser would fit. The compressor shouldn't be an issue. I have the bracket here, and like I said, my Civic had AC, but when I bought it, the owner took it out. So I don't know exactly, hoping that's the right one, because I did not buy that. Other than that bracket, you'll also need this one here, which is a bracket specific for the belt, and it goes on the pulley. So here's the predicament I'm in, right? And I don't know how much of the oil I actually need for the entire system. And at the same time, I'm using used parts, so I don't know how much oil is already in them. Speaking for the evaporator inside the dash, I've already replaced. I shook it and drained it of all the oil that I could, but ultimately there was still some in there because I could still shake it and I can hear liquid moving in there. So I don't know how much is in there. The condenser here, I also don't know how much is in here. I'm shaking it and I don't hear anything, so I'm gonna assume there's nothing in there. Let's see if you guys can hear. Oh shit. So when I bought the compressor, I picked it up at the junkyard and it looked decent. I spun it around a few times. Well, honestly, I don't know what it's supposed to sound like, but it sounded fine. I threw it in the trunk, and I drove back here, and unfortunately some of the refrigerant spilled. So there goes my precise measurement on how much oil was in there in the first place. Not that it would be relevant because I'm using mixing and matching parts, so it's not really exact science here for me. And the compressor is a little annoying because no matter how hard I searched online, I couldn't find the specific amount of oil in the entire AC system. Because I'm replacing all of the parts, I'm gonna have to basically add all of the oil. Hopefully it works though. So what I did is I just drained it of all the oil, and I just used it by spinning the clutch, and you just gotta make sure it's the right one that you're spinning and not this wheel here, because the clutch is the one that spins the gears inside, and this one is not engaging the clutch, so you won't actually be spinning anything inside if you don't turn the clutch. Yeah, how much would you guys say that is? Either way, I am not trusting it because I accidentally dumped some in my car. Probably a little bit more than that actually. It tipped over and it fell. When the oil spilled in the trunk of my car, it was like a greenish color, and when I drained it here, it had a little bit of green. However, it was mostly looking like dirty oil, and I'll show you guys here what it looked like. Definitely some stuff in there. So after I drained all the oil, I basically added a little, I think I added an ounce of oil back into the system, spun it around, drained it out, and I did it again one more time just to make sure. I don't think I used a full ounce the third time I did this, but because I don't have enough to do a full ounce. I'd recommend buying another one and just keep draining it if that's an option. But I mean, I don't know what it's supposed to look like. All I know is that this is clear and that one was not. So I tried to get it as clear as I could. What color would you guys say that is? Like cloudy? Cooking oil? Dirty used cooking oil. Whereas this one is clear. I mean, a good oil change never hurt, right? It's a little cleaner, but still, it looks cloudy. Like it hasn't quite mixed with the clear oil yet. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I'm gonna add, the forums say 4 to 5 ounces, but I don't know how much is in that one. I'm gonna, oh, this is confusing. I'm gonna go ahead and just refill the compressor here with 4 ounces. And I'm gonna do it by adding 3 ounces on the low side and 1 ounce on the high side. And hopefully that's enough. I picked up this little thing on Amazon as well. Now that we've got all the prep work done, I can finally throw it into the Civic here. And I'm gonna start with the hoses. And I have to actually start by removing the bumper just because I don't wanna damage anything. So the hoses were very easy to remove because I had a donor car that had basically nothing in the engine bay, and I could just unbolt it from there and just pull them right out. Fortunately, I have the radiator and I still have my intake. So I'm gonna actually take that out, and hopefully it'll make it a little bit easier. But the low pressure side basically goes behind the radiator on that side, and the high pressure side kind of clips onto these clips here and feed into the front part of the radiator. So we're gonna see how that fits with my damaged radiator support. Hopefully they fit. How did I do this? Why am I so lazy? You know, it's not like it's that hard. Okay. I wasn't worried. Didn't even break a sweat. So for the screws, basically every screw in the AC system is the same, except for the low pressure side, because it has a thicker base. You need this one, and it's a little bit longer than this one. Just a little bit. I double checked with another model because I had pulled so many of these, I didn't know where they went, and I had 2 extra ones of these, and I didn't know where these went. But it turns out I pulled 2 of these from 2 different cars, and all of these from multiple cars. So I took out all the bolts, every single one of them that involves the AC line, and only this one is the big one. So I might have gotten an extra one somewhere just because I pulled it apart from different cars. Yeah, this one, see how this has a fatter base? That's why you need a longer bolt. pretty sure I stripped one of these bolts. Well, this one was a little too hard for the damn wrench. Sounds like somebody else's problem, not mine. You know, just once I'd like a project to go my way without something going wrong. So it turns out this clip is not the same. So this is the EG harness that I just installed. Look at that, there's an L, and that looks more like an I/L. I don't know, I pulled them from this, I mean, this is a 95 from my Civic, and I pulled that from a 95. What is going on here? And the same thing with this stupid freaking hose line here. They're not leveled. Oh, man. Turns out there was already a piece stuck in there because that one was inside the compressor and this is my EG hatch one over here. So it's the right pin. Fixed that one too. I just bent the crap out of it, but now we can move on to the dryer. Okay, bent the crap out of it. Might be a little too much of an exaggeration, but you get the idea. It bends a little bit and I can work with that. I think I can bend it a little bit more once I've installed the dryer. It won't go back in. Ah, the stupid washer won't fit through there. And just like that, it's finally installed. I don't know if this is because of my frame damage or if this is the only way to do it, but I had to go washer fluid first, bracket next, removed this line, inserted the canister, and then popped in the lines, and then I tightened the brackets, and then I tightened these lines, and then I tightened the one bolt that is fastening the bracket. And I am now done with the dryer. Yeah, so there's enough wiggle room to slide it through there. It just requires a lot of twisting and pulling. Finally, okay. It's a combination of loosening this bolt here, well, just loosen this one, and then loosening this one. And now it's got slack. So now we gotta raise this back up. So yeah, like I said, once you've lowered it down, put the tensioner pulley underneath the belt, you can go ahead and crank this up. I still got a little bit way to go because I got a little bit more slack. Okay, so I'm gonna check it underneath to make sure it's tight, and if it is, we can go ahead and just tighten this one up here. See that? That's like, this is half a turn. It's like 3/4 of a turn. So I'm gonna use that as a reference. This is about half. I can't really turn it anymore. This one keeps turning. So once I finished up tightening the AC belt, I actually decided to remove my AEM intake and install my OEM one. I really do like the AEM style look and it sounds so much nicer, but I wanted to actually give a shot at finding out how well this little Civic is on gas mileage. At the same time, if it does anything for the AC, because with the AC on, I'm probably gonna be losing a little bit of MPG and horsepower. So I wanted to try to offset that with the OEM intake. Okay guys, so the AC system has been finally installed. I've installed the evaporator, the hoses, the compressor, the sub harness here, the condenser, the dryer, the AC pulley, and the AC belt, as well as some stuff inside the dashboard. Some Civics never actually had this AC button installed. It's kind of just blocked off with a cap, but mine does, so I can't really show you guys how to install it. However, I did have to remove this climate control unit here because I had to replace these little tabs here, these little control knobs. This one's really hard to turn because it's connected by a metal string, so it breaks very often, and I found out when I went to go look for this at the junkyard, a lot of Civics had this thing broken. Now, actually removing this thing is a little annoying, but it's not too difficult. It's just 3 screws, one located right down here, the other one here, and another one like right in the middle back there. Then once you just disconnect the clips and the heater core string that attaches down there on this side of the dashboard, it comes right out. When I took it out, I inspected it to make sure I didn't have any broken tabs, anything else that might have been like burnt out, just to make sure it all worked. And Then I went ahead and replaced these little tabs as well with the little things that they attach to, because these just pop right out. But the other pieces was broken, so I had to replace the whole thing. And with all that being said, I finally have an AC system in the little hatchback here. So I managed to get the AC fully charged, and the verdict is in. And as soon as I get it charged, the tech tells me it's blowing ice and cold, but I have a little bit of an electrical problem, and no shit, I have an electrical problem. Get a Honda, they said. Get some AC. Why don't you? Look at all these fuses. Broken, blown, and broken. Unfortunately, I am not an electrical expert, nor do I really care to do electrical stuff because I have very little experience and it's really freaking annoying to get it right. However, I did check through some of the plugs to make sure everything was fine, and I couldn't find a simple solution. Now, unfortunately, I don't know what could have caused this problem. I just know that the tech told me the compressor was not engaging. So I'm gonna have to start there, I guess, to do some research, because I am not giving up. I'm getting my AC in this little thing, and I don't care how long it takes. Unfortunately, that's gonna have to wait for another video because I have to do some research on exactly what the hell to do, and it's gonna take some time. So that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Till next time, take care and good speed. I'm gonna try to do this quick. So off and the fan is definitely spinning, which means at this point I've pretty much confirmed that the short is happening somewhere in there. And that's a real bummer because I have charged the system, and any repair to that stupid thing is gonna charge me a lot of money to evacuate and then recharge the system again, because I can't reach it or get to it without removing the hoses.